It was a chilly autumn evening at Westwood University, the kind of night when golden leaves swirled across the cobblestone walkways and the lamps cast long shadows. I remember walking briskly across campus, clutching my sketchbook to my chest, unsure if I had made the right choice in coming to that late seminar. My name is Emily Carter, a 21-year-old fine arts student who had always struggled with confidence, especially in front of people who seemed to have everything figured out. That night, my professor, Dr. Nathan Reynolds, had invited a few students to stay after class for a small mentorship session. He was known not only for his brilliance but also for how deeply he cared about his students' futures. I didn't know it then, but that evening would become the turning point of my entire life. When I walked into the art studio, the air smelled of turpentine and freshly sharpened pencils. Only a handful of students remained, chatting quietly. Dr. Reynolds stood by the window, flipping through a student's portfolio. When he saw me, he smiled warmly. "Emily, I was hoping you'd come," he said. His tone carried genuine encouragement, and that immediately eased the nervous knot in my stomach. We gathered around a long table, and he asked each of us to present one piece of work that represented our current understanding of art and emotion. My hands trembled as I unrolled my charcoal sketch of a young girl standing in the rain. It was a piece I had worked on for weeks, yet I never felt it was good enough. Dr. Reynolds studied it quietly, his eyes tracing the lines and shadows. "You've captured something real here," he said finally. "It's raw, honest. Don't underestimate that." Those words meant more to me than any grade ever could. I had grown up believing that talent wasn't something I could rely on, that maybe I was just someone who admired art, not someone who could create it. But in that moment, he gave me something no one else had ever given me: belief. After the session ended, most of the students left quickly to catch their buses or grab late-night coffee. I lingered, packing my things slowly. Dr. Reynolds noticed and asked if I wanted feedback on my portfolio. I nodded eagerly. We spent the next hour going through my work, one page at a time. He explained how light tells a story, how imperfections make art human, and how fear often hides behind perfectionism. I'll never forget when he said, "Emily, talent is only 10% of success. The rest is persistence, and the courage to fail forward." That sentence hit me so hard I couldn't speak for a moment. Before I left, he handed me a folded piece of paper. "There's a National Art Fellowship that's closing applications next week," he said. "I think you should apply. Your work deserves to be seen." When I got back to my dorm that night, I opened the note. He had written down the details, along with a small message at the bottom: "The world needs what only you can express." I stared at those words for a long time. My roommate, Samantha, noticed the change in me almost immediately. I told her about the fellowship, and she helped me prepare my submission. For days, I barely slept. I reworked my sketches, added color, scanned old pieces, and poured everything I had into the application. I didn't think I had a real chance, but I promised myself I'd try. Weeks passed. Life went on: classes, assignments, deadlines. I almost forgot about the fellowship until one afternoon, while I was eating lunch in the campus courtyard, I got an email with the subject line, "Congratulations." I opened it, heart pounding. I had been selected as one of 10 finalists nationwide. I burst into tears right there on the bench. It wasn't about winning, it was about being seen. Later that evening, I went to Dr. Reynolds' office to thank him. He stood when I entered, smiling as if he already knew. "You did it, didn't you?" he asked. I nodded, unable to contain my grin. He congratulated me and said something I'll never forget. "This is just the beginning, Emily. Don't stop here. Keep chasing the truth in your art, even when it's uncomfortable. That's what makes it matter." The national showcase took place in New York City. I had never even been on a plane before, but the university sponsored my trip. Standing in that bright gallery, surrounded by people from all over the country, I realized something profound. Every painting, every sculpture, every piece told a story of someone who decided to believe in themselves, even when it felt impossible. My piece, "The Girl in the Rain," hung near the entrance. People stopped, stared, and even asked questions. For the first time, I spoke about my art with pride. And when the judges announced the winners, I didn't expect to hear my name. But I did. I won 3rd place. It wasn't first, but to me, it was everything. I called my parents, and they cried. My mom said, "We always knew you had it in you." When I returned to campus, I went straight to the art building. Dr. Reynolds was there, setting up for another late seminar. When he saw me, he simply smiled. "You proved yourself, Emily." I thanked him for believing in me when I couldn't. He shook his head. "You did that on your own. I just reminded you that you could." That evening, as I walked home across the quiet campus, I felt something I'd never felt before: freedom. The kind that comes from realizing your future isn't defined by fear, but by courage. Years later, when I became an art instructor myself, I often thought back to that night in the studio. Whenever I saw a student doubting their worth, I would say the same words he told me. Talent is only 10%. The rest is persistence, and the courage to fail forward. That evening didn't just change my academic path, it shaped who I became as a person. And to this day, I keep that folded note framed above my desk as a reminder that one act of belief can change an entire future.